If I had to sum up today's episode in one word, it would be freedom. But let me ask you this. What would you do if freedom was just within your grasp, but the cost could be your life? Welcome back to the Black History Buff podcast. Today, we're diving into the story of Benkos Biohó, a leader who escaped enslavement, defied colonial powers, and founded the first officially recognized free African town in the Americas. Stick with me as we uncover the incredible journey of this remarkable leader. Picture this. It's the late 16th century. The air is thick with the stench of salt and sweat. The chaotic shouts of slavers echo through the port, and the clinking of chains drowns out all hope. The transatlantic slave trade is in full force. Africans are being captured, transported, and sold across the Americas. One of these captured souls is Benkos Biohó, a man born into African royalty on the Bissagos Islands, part of present-day Guinea-Bissau. His people knew him as a leader, but now he finds himself enslaved, shackled, and far from home, facing the harrowing conditions of the slave ports of Cartagena de Indias in what is now Colombia. Soon after arriving in Cartagena, Biohó saw an opportunity when the boat he was on crashed in the Magdalena River. Amid the chaos, he broke free from his chains and plunged into the water, desperate to seize his chance for freedom. Imagine the fear, lungs burning, the icy rush of the river around him, with nothing but sheer determination pushing him forward. Although he was eventually recaptured, his spirit remained unbroken. In 1599, Biohó escaped once more, leading a small group into the dense marshlands, driven by the dream of survival and true freedom. Imagine the fear and the thrill of that moment. Biohó and his group had nothing but their resolve, and they chose to run, to defy, and to survive. They found refuge in the remote Montes de Maria, in the hills far from Spanish rule, where they founded a settlement called San Basilio de Palenque. In these mountains, Biohó's leadership truly emerged. He didn't just flee, he built a refuge, an organized society where his people could live freely, out of reach of the Spanish colonizers. What would it have been like to be there in those early days? To see the fires lit as they gathered in the evenings, whispers of hope spreading among the people. He became known as the King of Arcabuco, and Palenque was more than just a place to hide. It was a fortified community of freedom. With incredible strategic sense, Biohó organized an intelligence network, helping newly escaped enslaved people navigate their way to safety. He used his connections to spread news, build alliances, and protect his people from Spanish forces. It was a remarkable achievement. Imagine creating not just a refuge, but a culture of freedom under constant threat. A place where African heritage, language, and customs could survive and thrive. Every day was a new challenge, but Biohó and his community endured. But the Spanish weren't content to let this settlement grow. With each passing day, Biohó's influence and Palenque's success grew, and so did Spanish unease. By 1605, they offered Biohó a treaty, formally recognizing San Basilio de Palenque's autonomy. For a time, there was a fragile peace. Biohó agreed to the terms, hoping for stability and perhaps a new era for his people. But the peace was not to last. In 1619, the Spanish authorities, fearful of Biohó's growing influence, broke the treaty. They captured him in Cartagena, and in a brutal show of power, he was hanged and quartered in 1621. Imagine the heartbreak of the Palenqueros, who had seen their leader build a community from nothing, only to watch him taken down by the very forces he had defied. But the community didn't crumble. Biohó's spirit lived on, and his legacy carried San Basilio de Palenque forward. After his death, the Palenque held strong, becoming an enduring symbol of freedom. By 1713, the King of Spain issued a royal decree, formally acknowledging the community's independence, the first of its kind in the Americas. Picture it, a decree that at last recognized the right to freedom for those who had fought so hard for it. Today, San Basilio de Palenque stands as a UNESCO-recognized cultural site, where the descendants of Biohó's people continue to speak the unique Creole language, practice traditional African customs, and honor the resilience of their ancestors. Benkos Biohó's journey may have ended tragically, but his vision lives on in the vibrant, enduring culture of Palenque, a leader who, against impossible odds, carved out a space for freedom, one that still stands today. If this story of Benkos Biohó resonates with you, drop the word freedom in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and consider supporting the Black History Buff podcast on Patreon, where we bring you more stories like this. How far would you go for freedom? Let us know by sharing and tagging us. Thank you so much for listening, family. Let's keep these stories alive and honor the legacy of heroes like Benkos Biohó. Next time, we'll explore another fearless story of freedom. Stay tuned. Until then, blessings.